Joe Goodberry, here he is. Great to talk to you again, Joe. How have you been? How's life?
Life's good. I'm tired of the cold already, though. I think we're really like a week into it, and I'm done.
Yes. Wow. Joe's in the area.
That's the spirit, Joe.
He's not interested in toughing it out so much this year. I get it. You know, it starts and it doesn't. You know, it's not going away for at least 3 months. Joe, so I would love your opinion on the Bills and the Bengals, like what they mean to each other. Historically, currently, thinking about so what are the Bengals to the Bills just in terms of a rivalry? And what did we say, 4 or 5 maybe? That's still pretty good.
Yeah.
They're above the Jets.
Yeah, I have them myself behind the Chiefs, the Patriots, and the Ravens, but I think they're right there with Miami, 4 or 5.
Okay.
There.
How do you see that, and how does it look the other way?
I've never power ranked them. That's a good topic. Maybe I can do the Bengals rivalry. So you guys are giving me ideas here.
Ooh.
But
happy to help.
Yeah. Who'd be last?
I don't know. I guess I didn't really have to think about that. It was an NFC team you don't play too often, right?
Right.
But I go back to 2019, 2020, and I think Bengals fans wanted the Bills to win. If it wasn't going to be them, the Bengals were bad at the time, and it's this fun Bills team with Josh Allen, and it seemed like they have all the energy and all the vibes and America's team type thing. And yeah, let's have the Bills win and let's have them knock off the Chiefs. And then the Bengals somehow leapfrogged them that year. 13-second season, 2021.
Yep.
And the Bengals were able to beat the Chiefs, but it felt like they had the backing of Bills fans. Hey, if we can't beat them, at least you guys can knock the Chiefs off, and that's cool. So the vibes were great. I remember even going into the Hamlin game, 2022. It's late in the year. Both teams are on an 8 and 9 game win streak. I want to say they're feeling good. There's a chance for the number 1 seed for both teams. It's a primetime game. I'm at that game in Cincinnati. The vibes were like I've never been to before. Everyone's hanging out together. There's Bills and Bengals fans partying together, eating together. They're chanting anti-Chiefs chants. It's we don't really care what happens, but our two teams are feeling good right now for the first time in a long time. And then the Hamlin thing happened, and then 3-4 weeks later, we're in the divisional round. It's snowing, and the Bengals just dominated that game, and it felt like everything changed from there in terms of I think the Bills were pretty down at that point, you guys know, and the whole conversation of 2 years in a row from the 13-second game to getting beat at home in the snow by the Bengals. And then since then, the Bengals haven't been back to the playoffs, and losing by 3 in the AFC Championship that year. And it kind of feels like the Bengals went from this fun upstart team to we're kind of tired of them now, and they talk a little bit too much. And they were the Burrow head thing was the next game in Arrowhead, and I think a lot of fan bases around the league were done with the Bengals, done with Joe Burrow. And they were we don't really care. They were fun for a while, but now they're too much. And so I don't know if from the Bengals' perspective or fans, if we see the Bills as a rivalry as much as the Chiefs and the Bills and the Ravens are the top 3 always mentioned as the AFC. And if the Bengals could ever get their stuff together, we could be in that group as well.
Right.
It just seems like the last few years have really stolen that from us.
Yeah, boy, I really appreciate your perspective on this because I'll admit I'm petty enough. I like that, we're unified by trying to take the Chiefs down. So if I can't do it, you go do it. I'm petty enough to not want anyone to do it but my guy. So I don't think I want Burrow to, I don't want you to get to the top of the mountain in this class of elite AFC quarterbacks until my guy is there.
You wanted the Chiefs to beat Baltimore in that AFC Championship.
Yes.
And that was shocking to me.
I didn't want Lamar Jackson to go to the Super Bowl and have a Super Bowl before Josh. It's kind of childish, I admit, but that's I don't know. Some of that stuff is kind of my life force when it comes to sports. I admit it.
You're not alone. I work with a lot of Bills fans and family and stuff, and they felt very similarly. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't have rooted and even a little bit for the Bengals. They would have said, and they have said, I don't want Lamar to do it because then that'll knock Josh down a peg. Lamar's already got 2 MVPs, and if he gets a Super Bowl ring, then where's Josh in the hierarchy of AFC quarterbacks? And I think it comes down to the legacy, and we've seen generational quarterbacks from previous generations, whether it's Jim Kelly, and it could be a Boomer Esiason, or Ken Anderson actually is one of the finalists for the Senior Hall of Fame committee. They get knocked down if they don't have that championship. They get thrown off to the side. We want to remember these guys when it is done, and we hopefully still have another 10, 15 years of this, and probably not 15. It's always overestimated. But at the same time, you're right. I get that perspective. And, I do feel for the Bills, though, because I live in the area, that if they did win it before the Bengals, that wouldn't affect me personally. I would be happy for them.
With Joe Goodberry on the Western Hotline, Mike Schopp and The Bulldog here. So this Bengals season, Joe, I want to ask this. I want to be quick here. Like, if Burrow needed a couple of more weeks to come back, does he come back? It seemed like there was enough time where he maybe had to. They're also, of course, not dead. And why not come back if you're not dead? So there's that. What do you think? How live are the Bengals as you see the AFC North right now, even at 4-8? And what has that path been like for you this year? Like, did you when they lose the game to the Jets? It's like, is that it? I mean, just have you kept the faith this year?
I have not kept the faith at all. And I tell people all the time, even when I bring up playoff odds, and I'm like, there's a 15% chance if they win or whatever the scenario is. People are like, I can't believe you have faith. And I'm like, it's not faith. It's seeing them come from a 1% chance at one point. Because after that Jets game, Jets-Bears, 2 weeks in a row. I mean, just absolute disaster meltdowns of Chase Brown at the end of the game. Can the defense get one stop, just one stop, and we win a game? And he was right. You score 38 points, you should win those games. And we've been doing this for 2 years now in terms of talking to the Bengals. Yep. But they start off 2-0. And remember, that was their issue. They couldn't win games early in the season. You start off 2-0, and Burrow goes down. It's like, you got to be kidding me that this is the season we're having again. They trade for Joe Flacco. The offense comes back to life. So you think they might be able to steal a couple. They just need to win a couple in this 8 to 10 weeks that Burrow's going to be down, and it could be enough in this bad AFC North to revive it. Instead, they go 1-8, and Burrow comes back at 3-8. Sounds like he may be pushed to play against the Patriots 2 weeks ago. That might have went a little bit differently. You might have wanted that win looking back at it, and that would end up being a closer game than expected. But, no, it's not so much faith. It's like, if they do run the table here and get back into it and do it by beating the Ravens, Bills, Ravens, and then finishing off their schedule, that would be a pretty crazy story and a fun story and a wild ride. And Burrow is 8-0 in his last 8 games if he goes on a run and finishes this thing. So it's more of a what if. Like, we're looking at a scenario that isn't completely crazy. And if it happens, it'll be so fun to see.
What do you think of the competition? Baltimore and Pittsburgh playing twice doesn't help you. I mean, they don't look good, especially the Steelers, I guess. But I don't know what you need there. You need them to split maybe to have a look at it. Have you looked at least at that and thought about what it would take?
Yeah, for sure. And there is a scenario where you can go 7-9 and actually win the division. So you could have a team with a losing record, which would be hilarious because I always think that's funny. But, this is supposed to be like the strongest division. We always, AFC North, this and that, has had 3 playoff teams numerous times. They had one year just a few years ago where every team had a winning record. So, now to be down where you're at now, yeah, they need the Steelers and Ravens to split. So it really doesn't matter who wins. The simulators give them a little bit better of a chance if the Ravens win this weekend over the Steelers, but then you still need that final Week 18 game to matter. So it really doesn't matter too much this week, but they have to split, and the Bengals have to beat the Ravens in the following week after the Bills. They could actually lose to the Bills, be 4-9, and still not really lose much space in this run because they'd have to beat the Ravens and have to win out from there. At that point, they have to win out. But even if they beat the Bills and lose to the Ravens, then it's pretty much done for them. So they have to win this Ravens game coming up in 2 weeks.
How does Burrow look to you, Joe?
He was rusty to start. I think he was throwing high, which is normally a mechanic of not being able to get through your front foot. It's his left toe, that makes sense to me why it was coming off a little bit high, a little bit rusty. But I said I likened it to them, Forrest Gump running through his braces. They give him 42 throws in that first half, and let's just get the rust off and let's get you looking good. And I thought in the second half, even at the last drive of the second quarter, he looked sharp. He looked like his normal self. And the best thing was that the toe really didn't affect his movement. I thought he moved within the pocket really well. He extended plays. He took off running. And you really couldn't tell, other than the rust early, that he just missed 10 weeks. So that's good. I think, if he can get his timing and accuracy back to where it normally is at an elite level, the offense should be fine right away.
Joe, all season it's been talked about how soft the Bengals defense is. I mean, going back to at least to week 3 when Minnesota lit them up. Think about that now. Denver, 512 yards in that game to the Bengals, 159. I mean, that's been the story all season and not only this season. How true is it right now? I mean, seasons are long. Injuries change, depth, players get better. The season-long stats are bleak for the Bengals defense, but is it possible that recently they've improved?
Yeah, so they were terrible, to be honest. And we were doing on our show, on the postgame show, like every game was a new stat that they're now the worst in 15 years. They're now the worst at this in 25 years. And we actually got to the point where DVOA, it was the worst defense of all time.
Yeah.
And so it was bad, as dysfunctional and bad as you can expect. And then they have to bye week, and they made some slight tweaks. They're doing more 3-4 fronts, five-man fronts. They're blitzing a little bit more. They went from the lowest blitzing rate team in the league to a little bit higher, so now they're about 28% blitzing. In a couple of these games, it really dialed up some better calls there on third downs. They've stopped the run better the last 2 weeks. Last 4 weeks, they have stopped the run at the 13th best rate in terms of EPA and success rate. So that's good. If you can stop the run, that's pretty good. Their pass rush the last couple of weeks has been really good with Joseph Osai, Miles Murphy. They have had Trey Hendrickson for a while now. They've sort of adjusted and figured out how to generate a pass rush without him. Improved from the worst defense of all time. I would hope so. But is it good enough to really carry them? I don't know. If this offense is putting up 35 a game, if we get back to last year, basically what we're at with like the 29th ranked defense and an offense scoring 35, they still were able to run the table and win the final 5 games last season. It's possible. When you have an offense that can score, it makes your defense different. And I think it makes a difference when Burrow's back.
How is the wind blowing on injuries here? You mentioned Hendrickson, and that maybe still feels like it's not ready to happen. What about T. Higgins?
Yeah, Hendrickson's probably out. I mean, they declared him doubtful right on Monday. But T went through the walkthrough on Monday. He practiced today. They're going to say it's a limited practice. He's still working through the protocol, but it sounds like the expectation is that he will be able to go on Sunday as long as everything clears. He's in the check now, or the stage now where they let him practice, check him the next day. If everything's fine, you move on to the next step. So he's similar to Deion Dawkins in his situation right now with the Bills, so I expect him to play.
With Joe Goodberry here on the Wester Hotline, Mike Schopp and the Bulldog, what do you make of, I want to ask basically just your overall macro perspective on the AFC this year. I think with teams like, and this season, of course, is not over, even for the Bengals, but for teams like that are not the Chiefs, a season like this can feel like more of a wasted opportunity if you don't make it. Kansas City right now is, 10th in the AFC, so you might have a chance to get there without the Chiefs being in the way. Do you look at it more like that, or that, no, actually Denver, New England, even the AFC South teams are really good, and it might not be right to think about like this as maybe a softer year, to put it one way?
Maybe I'm a fool. But and I have been a lot of times. I don't respect these other AFC teams right now. I'm still looking at it like the Chiefs aren't there. Are the Bills going to make it? Are the Ravens going to make it? Are the Bengals? I still think the best quarterbacks are going to carry you when you get to that postseason. Now, Drake May is playing really, really well. They haven't played at the toughest schedule, and maybe I'm looking back 2 weeks ago where I feel like if Burrow was playing, that game may go differently. It was close enough that Burrow doesn't throw a pick six that Flacco did that pretty much sealed that game. I look at it and say, okay, maybe the Patriots are good enough. Do they have the weapons? Are they consistent enough? Are they old enough? Does the defense have enough playmakers? I look at the Broncos and I say, I don't know if Bo Nix is good. Like, there are times I'm watching in stretches of games or even full games, where I'm like, he can't complete a pass over 10 yards to save his life. He's not great in the pocket when he does get pressured. It's the best offensive line in the league. But if you can generate a little bit of pressure and confuse him, I do think you can get to him. And you're going to play the best teams in the playoffs, hopefully. The good teams make it. But I think like the team that I look at and I feel like they could do it and make a run because I like the parts they have if their guys start playing well. I think the Jags can be an underrated team. I mean, when you have a quarterback like Lawrence that can have these games, he's super inconsistent. But when he does have these games where you're like, man, there he is, where, can we get this more often? But they have a scheme-heavy offense that gets their playmakers the ball. Brian Thomas Jr. has struggled, but they've used the ancillary receivers to really outweigh those struggles. But I think if they can get him going again and get the rest of the offense, they have enough playmakers. And the defense is a confusing type of defense that can throw a lot of different things at you. But I think a defense like that could trick a Bo Nix or a Drake May, and you get them in the playoffs. So, I'm looking at these teams. I'm starting to think of, all right, who could be that team to make it if these teams that we expect to be there aren't the ones there.
Where do you stand on Indianapolis? They've had a rough couple of weeks. I mean, losing close games, but now Jones is on one leg, and I don't know. They look very vulnerable to me.
And that schedule is tough. Like if they even split down and go 3-3 when I was looking at it last week before that game, if they end up going 3-2 or 2-3, it might be enough to knock them out of that. Like they play the Jags twice. If the Jags sweep them, Jags are probably going to take that division at that point. I think it's really they started off hot. It's one of those teams we see every year that look good. Oh man, you got this quarterback playing really well. If they finish this final 5 games and finish it well, I'd probably feel a lot differently. Like, maybe they are legitimately good. But again, I feel like there's the rest of the teams where I, say I don't really respect it because I want to see Daniel Jones in high leverage situations.
Right.
We saw it earlier in the season. He looked really good. But I want to see it late in the season. I want to see it in playoff situations to make me think that they're actually going to be a good team. And they traded for Sauce Gardner, and now he's out with a foot injury. So, that's a big part of their defense. And I like Lou Anarumo. I think he can scheme it up. So maybe that's what they really rely on Jonathan Taylor and the defense creating turnovers. But then that makes me think of the Texans also. That looks like a legit defense. You guys know, you just saw them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That pass rush is frightening for every team in the league. But can that offense muster up enough? I do wonder. And maybe if they start being more conservative with it, and I think they have leaned on the run a little bit more. Woody Marks looks good as a rookie, and then feed Nico Collins in your weapons. I think you can take it a little bit off of C.J. Stroud's plate, and maybe they can make a run themselves.
Joe, it's always great news when we find out that we've booked you. And today, of course, continues that. So thank you for your time, and enjoy the game on Sunday. Will you be there?
I will be there. I'm excited for that. So I'll have to brave the cold for that day.
You'll manage, I think. Thank you, Joe.
I think I will. Thanks, guys.
Joe